So, Bob, it's Anthony Slater, The Athletic. Can you take us through how you learned of Klay's news, how close that was to the draft, kind of the mood, and just kind of how that might have rattled you guys?
Got a call this afternoon, and I don't know what time it was. Then I spoke to Klay pretty shortly after, and he was driving home. And, I don't know what time it was, but it's one of those deals where you don't really know until you know, Anthony. So listen to what he said, and just kind of got our trainers involved, got him on the phone with him. They talked to him, and then started setting up a way to find out more information, really. And then I had to get back to the draft, so hard to disengage mentally from it, but we had a lot of stuff going on as far as drafts and trades, potential other things, so it couldn't really let my mind go all the way there. But now the draft's over, and we'll find out more tomorrow.
Hey, Bob. Jason Dumas here, Cron 4. I know you guys were still, gathering details tonight, but, what do you know that you can tell us, regarding the injury? I know it's not going to be something concrete, but is there anything along the lines that you can tell us tonight?
I do know I'd rather be talking about James Wiseman than Klay Thompson, but I don't know what to tell you guys. You probably know as much as I do in some ways. You can, however you process information, you get to decide. I don't know. We'll see. You can be hopeful, you can be concerned, probably all those things combined. And until we know more tomorrow, I'll just hope for good news. So if you can wait one day, Jason, we'll answer all these questions for you, and then I could do a better press conference, or worse, one day from now. We'll see.
All right, and while I have you, so I know you want to talk about James Wiseman as well. What can he bring to your guys' team? Like, you guys were pretty, tight-lipped leading up to this process, obviously, but, from just on paper, he fits a need, right at that 5 spot. What do you guys think he can bring to you guys, immediately?
Well, we think he's got great immediate help for a position we've coveted for a long time. I think the whole league does value, although some people think the whole league's small, but we believe there's still a place for a guy like him, and we think he's got great potential to grow. And we love his character, we love his attitude, we love sitting with him, meeting him, and I feel like he's kind of the warrior type of character we always look for, with a tremendous amount of room for growth. But we think he'll put the time in, we think he'll put the work in. We're dropping him into our culture, and we think it's one of the best in the league, so we're pretty excited about integrating him and just making him a warrior. And it's a fun thing to consider and think about him on the floor, and I think our fans are going to like watching him, and I think I'll like watching him.
Bob, Marcus Thompson with The Athletic. Were you locked in on Wiseman the entire way, and did the worries about Klay perhaps make you think about going a different direction?
We were high on Wiseman. We had him number one on our board when all the dust settled. Certainly the Klay thing made you think for a second, but it was just a short amount of time, and we decided we're staying the course of what we always felt. But you have to take a pause and think about things for a second. But no, we're very happy, Marcus, with how the draft worked out. We got the guy we wanted, and excited, like I said, to get going and get him in our practice facility and get to work.
Bob, I've heard comparisons to David Robinson and Chris Bosh and Chris Webber. What do you think of those comparisons, and how good can this guy be?
Yeah, Mark, let's hope those comparisons are made in 10 years from now, or 15 or 20. I mean, all the comparisons are good. I like those too. Those are great names. Any of those names I think those are all Hall of Fame guys. So he could be. Will he be? I think that's up to him. I think that's up to us, but mostly him. How much time he wants to put in, how much he loves it. I think all those guys love the game. He's got the talent. He's got the skill. I think he's got the work ethic. But those guys, they charted a pretty unique path, and they worked for it and had long careers. And so we think he's got the potential to kind of pave his own way with the skill set he has. A lot of people want to say he's just a rim-rolling, rim-protecting, dunking guy. We think he can be more than that, but he's 19 years old. And people forget how young these guys are, and that it's going to take a little time. But like I said, we've got a great coaching staff. I don't think he can learn from better players when he's watching some of our vets work next to him. He's going to learn what it requires to become great, but I think he wants it. And so that's what we're excited about. We see a guy that wants to work and wants to be great.
What about some of the uniqueness of him, speaking Mandarin, wants to be a philanthropist, wants to buy Chick-fil-A? Like he seems like there's a lot that he wants to do.
That's good. I mean, smart guy. We like intelligent players, and like the fact that he's got other interests. I don't think that's a bad thing. Clearly, basketball's in his heart, and it's probably the number one thing in his life. But like I said, we had a chance to spend some time with him down in Miami pre-draft, and you're going to like him. I don't know how well you know him. I think you've talked to him as well. A very personable guy, and he's a type of guy that you'd love to bring home and introduce to the family. And polite young man. Been through a lot growing up. I've been through a lot in the last few years and the last few months. I think he's probably just excited to come and start playing basketball and get back to it. He hasn't played basketball. Last time he played basketball, I was at his game in November, about a year ago, up in Oregon. So I don't think he's played a basketball game in over a year or close to a year. So I think he's just chomping at the bit to play again, Mark.
Is the expectation that he can step in? You guys think he can step in and give you 20, 25 minutes at least right away?
I hope, Anthony. We'll see. I don't know. I mean, like I said, no summer league. It's hard to answer that question. 3 games in the college. I don't know. In some respects, I'm more worried about 3 or 4 years from now than I do 2 or 3 months from now. But yeah, we'd like to give him that opportunity. And Steve's got to find a way to use him. And obviously our lineups are a factor. But we like to hope that he's getting minutes and growing on the job. But we'll see. He's going to have to earn that in camp. But we think he's got the possibility of coming out and giving us those kind of minutes.
Bob, have you given gotten a commitment to spend the traded player exception? And if so, does Klay impact that at all? Whatever happens with Klay?
We have the green light to do that. We had it. We have it. Klay or no Klay, depending on what we hear. So it's there. We've got to find a way to make it work for us. Certainly, once we hear more tomorrow, that might affect it. It might not. We'll see. I mean, certainly it may allow us to be more aggressive, but something has to make sense. Certainly, if we feel like we need to add to that position, we'll do our best to do it. We still have free agency, and we'll see, Marcus. We'll see what news we hear and what positions we need to fill. I think we needed wing depth anyway, and so we'll look there anyway, no matter what. So now that the draft's over, kind of know what we have. We know what we have in the center position at least, and so we'll start that process. Probably when I'm done here with you guys, we'll go back and start having those internal conversations.
Did Klay hurt his right leg?
Yes.
The lower right leg, and what was he doing? Was it a pickup game with friends? Was it with some trainer he works with? What exactly were the details of this injury that right now?
Yeah, as far as I know, he's playing basketball, and I don't know who with. I think it was professionals, or I don't know who the players were, but real kind of pickup game. I don't know anything other than that as far as I didn't really get those details, Janie. I think just playing basketball, probably like a lot of these guys are trying to get ready for the season.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Bob, this is Marcus White with NBC Sports Bay Area. Given how high you guys were on James and how the draft board shook out, did you ever consider trading the pick, or was it going to take an offer that you ultimately didn't get, considering you guys actually hung on to the pick?
Yeah, Marcus, we always were open. Ever since we heard we had two, we listened a lot. We talked a little bit. We liked James enough to not just move the pick for nothing. There were some teams with interest, but ultimately we felt good about just drafting it. but we always listen. I mean, that's our job. We don't hang up the phone on anybody. But we were pretty happy with 2, especially after the first pick in the draft, knowing we were going to get James. We were pretty happy there, and that was, like I said, he was the top guy on our list.
Were you surprised that Nico fell to you in the second round?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, Steph said we had to draft guys that went to his Under Armour camp, so we had to take Wiseman and Nico to keep our point guard happy. But it is funny though. Those guys both did go. He remembers them. I think it might have been in Walnut Creek, but I think he knows. It's funny. He does know. Got to know James and got to know Nico. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but so it's. I was surprised though, Marcus. We had him hired in 48 for sure.
Hey Bob, how much pause does it give you to take a guy like this, having only seen him play 3 games in college? I mean, it's normal now, I guess, to take a freshman, but to have such a small sample size and this high a pick, how awkward was that?
It's tougher than you'd like it to be. I'd love all these guys to play 3 or 4 years of college and like they used to, but that's not the deal anymore. And so whether it was Ball, who was in Australia and got injured and didn't finish the season, or did see Edwards play, he played most of the season. And some of the other guys we saw too, but even the conference tournaments that I was planning on going to, those got canceled, and obviously the NCAA tournament got canceled. But we got to see some of these guys at least 1-on-0. But normally, yeah, you would see a guy a lot more than we got to. I mean, if you look back, the league, most of the time the guy does play more. But good news is, he's healthy, and obviously everybody knows why he didn't keep playing, and so I'm sure he's just happy to be playing basketball again. And obviously our season's right around the corner.
Who's planning on going to LA with Klay tomorrow?
I think our trainers are going to go down there. I think Steve might be going. I don't know who else.
Bob, you kind of touched on this at the beginning, but how would you describe the range of emotions that you and the organization have gone through in the last few hours here?
Well, I don't know. You lose Game 7 of the finals, you can have some pretty highs and lows going into that game when we did that. But I don't know, Nick. I don't know. Maybe I'll be better able to. Certainly a lot of emotional. You hear stuff, you wonder. But without really, I mean, I guess this business teaches you always wait to hear for sure on any of these things. I've been in MRI rooms. Steph's hand last year, I had no idea when we walked in there he'd be out for 3 or 4 months. Obviously, dealing with some of the injuries we've dealt with in the last couple of years doesn't harden you, doesn't make it easier. But I don't know. I was hoping that we were through all that, and maybe we are. Like I said, maybe there's good news coming. But certainly not a normal draft, Nick. Not a normal day. Draft is stressful as it is. So I will tell you this: there's more stress. There was more stress. Hopefully, like I said, I'll look back and think about what was I stressing about. But right now, I'll have to wait until tomorrow to hear.
And to follow up on that, what was your sense of what Klay's emotions were and demeanor given what he's been through in the last year with recovering from his ACL injury?
Hard to say. I mean, I think nobody wants to get. I don't know. It's hard because I'm not in his mind, but I think he just probably, as much as anybody, wants to know what's going on and trying to stay positive till we know more. But Klay doesn't like missing 5 minutes of anything, and he was probably bummed out he had to leave the pickup game. But at this point in time, Mark, I don't know. I'm just glad, our players reached out to him, and obviously you've seen a lot of NBA players reach out to him and offer their thoughts, and we're just hoping that we hear something good. And until then, I'm going to try to keep his spirits up and support him and hear what we hear tomorrow and go from there.
I know we're bouncing around with all these topics. Back to Wiseman. What struck you, Bob, about him emotionally, because I mean, he was crying. He talked about the adversity of not knowing what was going on with the NCAA, kind of striking on his own and working to prepare himself to be a pro. Did you notice things about his maturity or where he was emotionally?
Yeah, he is mature. I mean, for his age, although you have to remember they're all pretty young, these guys, Kareth. But yeah, I mean, he sensed. I liked his reaction to getting drafted. I thought, this is a guy that cares, and I think he showed he wanted to be with us. I mean, look, a lot of the depth of emotion there. We spoke to him on the phone afterwards. I think this is what he wanted. I think this is where he wanted to be. This is what we wanted. But I sense a young man who's serious, which we like, and who is ready to go and saying all the right things. I think he'll do all the right things. This is the type of people you like. This is the type of people you bet on. And so happy for him, happy for his family. I don't have any clue what it'd be like to hear your name called in the NBA draft, so it's got to be a huge moment for him, and you could tell watching him.
Bob, had you seen much of Klay and how he looked before he was hurt?
Yeah, I heard he was looking good. Yeah, he came to some of our mini camp, remember? So I'd seen him looking good, feeling good. So yeah, I mean, and people that had been with him. I mean, some of our players had played. I think Draymond had played with him, or somebody said he looked good. So no, I don't think he'd be playing basketball if he wasn't feeling or good or been cleared to do it. So yeah.
Bob, in terms of the rookies, there's no summer league. How quick do you want them to not just do the press conference, but do you expect them to just stick around immediately, not go home, probably maybe spend Thanksgiving at your house? Like, what do they do to prepare for the start of camp that's not too far away?
Yeah, man. Maybe your house, maybe my house. I don't know what these guys are, where they're going or what they're doing. But I mean, look, I respect people want to be where they want to be on Thanksgiving, but they don't have a lot of time. So maybe some guys want to come for a few days, get a place to live, go back for a day. Maybe some of them. I mean, basketball players. When I was, sometimes you don't get Thanksgiving. A lot of these guys probably aren't used to getting it. When you play in college, you usually don't get to go home. You have Thanksgiving at some conference or non-conference tournament or with your team. So we'll see. We're going to figure out. Some of these guys think are coming out here tomorrow, Raymond. And so I don't know, Mark. I think it's kind of here we go. Season's, I don't know if it's a week away or 2 weeks, I guess. Not much time. So we'll see. I mean, hopefully they'll stay if they can, or if they got to go, they go and come back pretty quick.
What do you think of Wiseman's jumper?
I mean, I think he's got good potential. I look at a lot of the big guys and that can shoot now that I can't name because I'm not allowed to. There's a lot of big guys that have learned to shoot really well in our league that weren't doing it at 19. The nice thing about him is, big guys were never really allowed to shoot three-pointers, and I imagine he probably would have shot one or two a game at Memphis. So, like the possibilities, Anthony. But, like anybody, he's going to need to work on it quite a bit. NBA line's further out, and that'll be something Steve will work with him on. We know the importance of stretching your game out, but like I said, I think this guy's going to have a long career, and over time, we hope that becomes a pretty natural part of his game.
Bob, anything jump out at you from other moves made around the league or other picks made today?
Just I mean, I'm laughing, but there's so many. This team all of a sudden traded this pick, and it's a lot of movement. We've been part of that, sometimes more in the second round, but just great admiration for the people that work in the league. It's a hard job, and a lot of competitive people out there, and everybody keeps getting better, and nothing that hasn't happened in past drafts. Maybe a little different, I guess, because people didn't get to see as many of the draft picks, or maybe known free agency is 2 days away. I don't know. It's 2020. There's a lot of, I don't know how to process this stuff.
Bob, did you like Wiseman because of his high defensive ceiling? Was that what kind of attracted you, or do you think he's athletic enough to, if he gets caught in a switch on the wing, do you think he could develop the type of defensive acumen to be able to hang out there?
We hope both, Marcus. I mean, we like the possibility for both. I think he's going to have to learn to do both. He's big, but NBA's got a lot of big guys in it. But, you know, I think he's physically can do it, but there's going to be a mental growth. He's going to have to learn the NBA game. He's never played this style, never played against these kind of caliber players. And so we hope he can do all that, but no 19-year-old, I think, figures it out right away. But I think he's got a willingness and an effort, and he's going to learn. I mean, can't learn from a better defender than Draymond Green, who probably won't be shy correcting him if he needs to.